What did they discuss about the oil refinery? Now Ugandans would have been patient that in due course we are going to have our oil. Be patient.
Where they are currently manufacturing electric cars, they are on the market. I went to the shop to ask for the price of an electric, which was in the shop, in showroom. It is 100,000 US dollar. That is 370 million Ugandan shillings. Minus tax. That is in USA. We are talking, if you have to ship it here, if you have to pay the taxes here, it will go to almost 500 million Ugandan shillings. How many Ugandans can afford that money? It is only his family who are on government or on our taxes free of charge that can afford that money.
It's very strange. This is very sad. It is sad indeed because as a country, where is the infrastructure and the electric automobiles we want to talk about? If even the developed countries like Germany, France, UK, United States and others have not been able to adapt the electric vehicles, and now you come, you tell the country that you Ugandans, hold your fire, we have found hope. The hope we are coming up with electric automobiles. And you even go further to say that now a Bajaj boda that is costing 5 million will be costing 7 million once it is electric. But the beauty with it is that you'll keep on cutting on the cost such that in the long run, you'll find an electric boda easy and very economical on the environment and together with the economy. Now, this is total deception.
All right, now moving on, we move to the East African Community Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Portal. The East African Business Council has today launched a regional platform geared towards supporting the growth and prosperity of small and medium-sized enterprises. The regional platform for East Africa is designed to enable them benefit from the regional integration agenda. This happened at Hotel Africana, as Mary Goretti Nachiganda reports.
Discussed about SME Charter that was approved in 2018, but there has been a slow implementation of the Charter. So our engagement today was to bring all the SMEs together and look at what are those binding constraints that inhibit SMEs to benefit from regional integration agenda.
Today's conference was organized by the East African Community, the East African Business Council and Kenya in recognition of the critical role that SMEs play in uplifting their economies.
80% of employment across Africa is created from SMEs. At least 50% of Africa's GDP is from SMEs. So if we want to develop Africa as a continent, if we want to have children in schools, healthcare, education, sustainable agriculture, all of that is going to happen through SMEs. There is tremendous opportunity for trade right now. With DRC's inclusion into the EAC, EAC now has a population of over 300 million people and a GDP of over $250 billion. That's availability for SMEs to trade and serve those people. All those 300 million people need clothes, they need shoes, they need tea, they need coffee. Those are SME opportunities. That $250 billion of GDP is free for SMEs to serve. There's never been a more exciting time to be an SME in EAC and to be an SME in Africa. Never been a more exciting time.
SMEs are still facing numerous challenges as majority do not last for a year. The Council discussed a number of solutions to achieve the regional economic integration agenda.
Of issues related to our taxation regime that are not conducive, the issues related to standards, the issues related to digital technologies, how we roll out those instruments that have been crafted since we launched the Customs Union and Common Market. So we have agreed that we need to harmonize our incentives that would boost the growth of SMEs. We've also agreed that we need to build more capacity and train our SMEs to access some of the financial services and products that have been developed by our banks. So we've also agreed that we need to relook and map out our SMEs policies and strategy across. Third intervention is around training and capacity building for our SMEs to access finance, affordable and cheap finance. As I mentioned, we have engaged the Equity Bank and they are very keen to support SMEs in terms of capacity building and accessing the loans provided by Equity Bank in terms of what they call recovery and resilience in the region. We're also working with Afrexim Bank to bring some of the products that are very affordable and conducive to mitigate some of the risks that were highlighted by SMEs related to access to finance.
The portal will help in sharing of information about the opportunities available in the region, addressing product-related challenges and boosting facilitation initiatives.
We call My Isoko platform. You can look at the platform. It is all inclusive. Those in agriculture, those in manufacturing, those in services, all are including professional related SMEs are all involved into this initiative.
SME portal is an opportunity to enable SMEs to take up e-commerce, to access these markets and to make it easier to access the tremendous opportunity available. Our portal is a directory. What do you need? You need a supplier for this, you need a customer for this, or you are a customer buying something. You search your product, it pops up. You have options, you have the pricing, and everything is extremely clear in your currency of choice. Now you're not changing currencies, you can pay in your home currency. Currently at least 10% of the value of transactions is lost just in changing currencies. We've resolved that.
It will require integration of women who are still challenged in adopting to technology.
The majority of women cross-border traders, for example, are not very well schooled, so it becomes very, very difficult to engage in some of these online platforms. But at the same time, we cannot run away from where we are going. So I think we shall need to maybe request our governments, request our development partners to see how they can help that such platforms that come up are simplified in the language the women traders understand.
Kampala traders intend to tap into the platform as well.
Of course, once such initiative, once they have appreciated it and they are able to take it on, definitely we see the women expanding their businesses beyond a particular border. For example, if I've been trading at Mutukula, most likely now I'll be able to send my commodities all the way to Dar es Salaam or to Nairobi and Mombasa. Yeah. So we believe that even as the African Continental Free Trade Area expands our reach, these women will be able to send their products without physically traveling to those countries. Because currently the challenge is if you want to trade, we have to physically meet and interact and trust each other. But the online trade, you are able to put your product out there, you are able to receive payment from the buyer without ever seeing the buyer or even talking on phone.
Mary Great Nachiganda, Business Today, Smart 24 TV, driving business.
All right, now we move on to the health supply chain. As Uganda's health sector is one of those that are heavily funded by donors over the years, this is an unsustainable trend and the country needs to be helped to sustainably fund her health sector. Pedersen Mumbere, our senior reporter, filed this report.
The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is walking Uganda on the path of self-reliance in a 10-year phased health supply chain roadmap. The USAID Ministry of Health collaboration aims at reducing the donor dependence in financing and management of the health supply chain. The roadmap articulates a plan, process and transition as an exit strategy from donor reliance, evidenced by the fact that more than 70% of the public sector funding for essential medicines and health supplies in Uganda is from donors.
We want the government to own buying of the commodities, which the government is very capable. And now we have the industries coming up.
According to the supply chain situational analysis between financial year 2015, 16 and 19 as well as 2020, the government of Uganda contribution to the purchase of essential medicines and health supplies through national medical stores increased from Uganda shillings 218.3 billion to 362.7 billion. Even the improvement in Uganda's healthcare access and the quality index scores since 1990, the annualized rate of the improvement has slowed down significantly.
We are all aware that over 70% of our essential medicines and health supplies in this country are donor funded. And by the way, for some of the program commodities like HIV, like family planning, the donor funding is even higher than the 70%. So at the end of it all, we'd like to see how in the next 10 years, the government of Uganda, through different entities, the ministries, departments, and agents, incrementally own the management and financing of our health commodities with a reduction of the donor support.
Reports from the Ministry of Health show that this 10-year roadmap will consider digitizing the health supply chain to improve transparency.
Potentially theft or leakage, where it will be clear that this quantity entered this facility day X, time X, minute Y. It left minute Y plus 2 to this point, and at that point it's not clear what happened. So it will track the tracking and the traceability of this particular product from wherever it came to where it stopped being visible in the system will be clear.
Digitalizing the health supply chain, the aim of digitalizing the health supply chain in Uganda is to ensure that we see visibility of commodities right from the warehouse up to the patients.
The development of this 10-year health supply chain roadmap demonstrated commitment of all government of Uganda management, departments and agencies to contributing to the resolution of life-saving challenges created by a non-responsive health supply chain to the population of Uganda. The roadmap will include, among others, the agencies and departments of Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Information and Communications, Technology and National Guidance. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now we move to rice growing in the country. Japan has pledged to help Uganda increase our rice production for domestic consumption and export. Through their development agency, Japan International Development Corporation, JICA, the efforts will be focused on fighting famine in Uganda. Ronan Ahawa reports that Uganda's per capita rice consumption has increased from 20 to 41 kilograms in the last 10 years.
A report by Uganda National Rice Development Strategy, released in 2009, indicated that rice was becoming increasingly popular in Africa. Consumption of rice in Africa is within the range of 16 metric tons, while production is at 14 metric tons, creating a deficit of 2 million metric tons. Currently, rice is grown in over 75% of African countries. With a total population close to 800 million people, rice is the main staple food for many populations. Smallholder rice farmers in Uganda can increase profits by 41% under similar input levels and combinations. Since 2004, Japan has been supporting the rice subsection by implementing regional rice research and training centers, focusing on improving rice seed production system and investments.
We have an initiative, regional initiative called the CARD. CARD is a Coalition for Africa Rice Development. And the target was to double the production of rice in the continent. And Uganda is one of the partner country and one of the leading countries. So we are heading to double the production of rice in this country too.
And there's no problem. The Japanese do it in wetlands. So, and as you heard from this leading rice researcher, Suboi, it can be grown in wetlands. But our policy measure is that no, let's leave the wetlands around and protect it. We have other areas where we can grow. In any case, this upland rice, Nerika, doesn't need paddy, doesn't need waterways. It needs irrigation, all right, but not as much as the paddy rice. So let us concentrate on the upland rice, which Professor Bukenya promoted so much and which made it possible for us to be a major rice producer in this country.
Makerere University commended JICA for the partnership in training rice farmers in the country since 2004. Ronan Nahabwe, Smart 24 TV, driving business.
All right, now we look at poultry, as the rising prices of poultry feeds has also caused a concern. The current scarcity of maize in Uganda has driven many smallholder poultry farmers out of business due to the increasing prices of poultry feeds. The price of maize bran, a key byproduct of maize that is an essential ingredient in maize feed, has drastically gone up.
Maize is the denominational commodity which has more than tripled in prices, with much of the grain that is grown locally is profitably sold in neighboring Sudan and Kenya, leading to a shortage and natural increase in price in the country. The chicken prices are high because there is scarcity of maize. Even the taxes imposed on it, mostly our maize, comes from Sudan, comes from Tanzania, and is costly to transport. It is expensive because in Uganda we no longer have maize in plenty because of sunshine. Speaking to Derek Chimbugwe, a chicken feeds dealer, he has urged farmers to reduce on the high levels of maize costs because it forces them to increase on the prices of the chicken feeds. Farmers should first reduce on the prices of maize they sell to us. The price of broken maize is now at 1,800 to 2,000 shillings from 1,200 shillings, whereas maize bran is at 1,700 shillings from 900 shillings per kilogram. Cotton feeds is at 2,200 shillings, and sunflower seeds is at 3,700. Yet maize bran and broken maize are the major feeding ratios for the chicken. The prices are now 1,800 to 2,000 shillings. That's for the maize. And when it comes to the maize bran, it's 1,700 from 900. There is also an issue of fake feeds arriving on the market. They take feed. The fake feeds has a huge effect on the business, thus losing customers. The maize gotten from those other countries is of poor quality, which is chasing away our customers, and we are making losses.
Berija Andrew with that report. Now we move on to a report concerning street vendors. Early this year, the resident city commissioner Hood Hussein issued a press release on the vacation of street vendors and hawkers from the city. Kampala Capital City Authority chased the street vendors out of Kampala to create order and keep the city clean. However, it was noted that KCCA has over 1,000 workspaces for the evicted vendors. Joan Nabukalu with the report.
Smart 24 went out to find out how the traders in the arcades thought about the removing of hawkers from the city. Derek Sewaguma, an electronics seller, expressed that he was not happy about the decision. He believes that hawkers work as middlemen between the seller and the buyers.
Nowadays, you can sit at the shop and wait for a customer and see none. But back then, you could sit and wait for a hawker, and then he brings you money. So I didn't support the idea because they helped us a lot.
Ndugwa Sam, a dealer in clothes, has also disagreed about the action taken by KCCA. He asked the government to concentrate on visual issues like high taxes and increasing prices of commodities.
Now someone who used to earn 500,000 or 1 million a day, now they get 50,000 or 100,000 a day. And in a month, you end up balancing and collecting just 700,000 or 2 million. Yet this money could be earned in a day.
Alex Sekandi, a bag seller, has agreed with the action, claiming that there has been a difference in stock. Joan Nabukalu, Smart 24, Business Today.
All right, now, following yesterday's statement by the Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamya, to take the anti-corruption fight to places of worship, today in our coffee court with Nahawe Rona, we see how corruption has crippled our community. But yet, how can we work to end this vice in the country? Rona Nahawe with the coffee court.
Thank you for watching Smart 24 TV as we continue to drive your business. Today's episode of Coffee Court is no different. As always, we shall always be asking the critical questions. Corruption has become endemic for the country. I mean, I think the most government officials, whenever they get opportunities in big offices, they only think of taking advantage. Yesterday, the IG, Honorable Betty Kamya, mentioned that the government of Uganda is losing 9.5 trillion from corruption alone. So with me is a guest that I will give an opportunity to introduce himself, and we will be breaking down this in bits. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So who is Matthias Mwesigwa?
Matthias Mwesige is a program officer at Coast Uganda. Coast Uganda, we promote transparency and accountability using 4 features, including multi-stakeholder approach, disclosure, assurance, and social accountability.
So what is your scope of activity in regards to curbing corruption as Coast Uganda?
Okay, our focus is on disclosure process, especially looking at infrastructure information. You know, in Uganda, there is a lot of construction work that is taking place, and we look at ensuring that the citizens are aware of what is happening. Then using the multi-stakeholder approach, we discuss with government on the issues that are rising from the assurance processes. The assurance process is where we work with government, specifically the Ministry of Works and Transport, to identify projects that we do assurance on. So the assurance is based on the information that is disclosed by that particular entity.
How do you get this information, and how do you gauge the corruption rate as Coast Uganda, and which exact office do you work closely with?
As already indicated, we work with the Ministry of Works and Transport, and of course you can't do work around public procurement in looking at infrastructure projects without looking at the PPDA, without looking at the Ministry of Finance. So we work with these and many other entities to ensure that we get information around the projects that are being executed. Then it's this, we carry out the assurance process where these projects are assured to see what is implemented is matching what is in the project documents. For example, we are looking at the bid process, the evaluation process, and the actual contract execution. So, as you know, corruption, one way where we can curb corruption is through information sharing. So we use the disclosure platforms to get information where citizens are able to access information. One of the disclosure platforms is the government procurement portal. This is introduced by the PPDA. Then we have also the government budget portal, which also gives out information about the budget. We look at the entities themselves. They have notice boards where they publish this information. And when you look at the existing legal framework in Uganda, for example, the Constitution of Uganda 1995, as amended, Article 41(1) talks about every citizen has a right to access information. That is number one. Number two, Article 38 of the Constitution also talks about citizen participation in public affairs, of course, including the governance process. Article 17 of the Constitution also gives citizens power to monitor and participate in the fight against corruption. So we use these existing legal regimes to mobilize citizens. Here we're looking at private businesses to participate in the procurement processes, and at the same time come up with recommendations that would help to curb down the issues around public.
As I believe there is now electric procurement system. Yes. How is that working and is it effective?
Yes. Currently, the EGP, which is electronic procurement, is rolled. Not all entities are on the EGP. So that means that all the entities are not reached in terms of electronic procurement. This was introduced to reduce the interface between the procuring entity and the person who is the contractor. So as of now, we started with 11 entities, but progressively, we started with, they started with Kampala, Jinja, and other municipalities around 11. So when you look at the EGP, the main purpose is to promote disclosure and transparency. People get information to participate. Here we are looking at fair business practices, whereby people are able to participate in the procurement process, follow the right procedure, and get awarded contracts through effective or accepted process.
What do you think are the 3 key pillars that can be done to curb corruption in the country as Coast Uganda?
First of all, as I indicated, corruption is high because people do not know what is being procured. Sometimes we see things being procured and we get information after the procuring process has been completed. That is number one. Share information with people to enable them participate in this process we shall be ensuring value for money, value for many, and ensuring that efficiency and economy is integrated in the procurement process. That is number one. Number two, let the systems work. Yesterday, the IG, Honorable Kamia, talked about the existing legal regime. It is true, we have the existing legal framework, but how effective is it working? The people who are involved in corruption cases, are they really executed? The question is, are we looking at people who are taking small monies or people who are taking large sums of monies? So the problem is the system is not working following the existing legal regime. Again, when you look at influence peddling as an element of corruption, in most cases, you've seen the president come out to clear people or companies that are involved in public procurement or that have been identified to be, might be selected in not proper way. But you see the presidents coming out saying, you know what, I know these guys, they can do good work, which is very wrong because there is a law, public procurement law, which guides us on the procuring process. So why are we jumping the existing legal regime that guide on the procuring process? That is number one. Then when you bring or when you clear someone to participate or to provide a service without following the right procedure, that means he will pay allegiance to the person who contracted, not to the citizens or the people who are supposed to supervise them. Another thing that we could look at is also looking at the sanctions. People should be accountable. There should be heavy sanctions. Last year, they launched the lifestyle audit. How far have we gone in terms of auditing the lifestyle? Yesterday, Honorable talked about mobilizing people to
for prayer.
Yes.
National prayer.
But then, if the process, as already indicated before, there is Article 17 that has already given us power to participate in curbing corruption. Again, there is Article 38 and Article 41 that gives us information and that would help us to curb down the corruption. Mobilizing citizens, it's okay, but what is very important, let the systems work.
The IG, sorry, I mistook her for the IGG. The IG, Honorable Betty Kamya, mentioned that she revealed that they have recovered 13 billion through negotiations. But do you think this should be the cause? I think there should be like legalized penalties, prosecutions, real prosecutions for these people so that they can serve as examples. As Coast Uganda, what is your take?
What we are saying is, first of all, strengthen the existing framework. That is number one. Negotiation is not a way to curb down corruption. It is, in fact, it's a way of encouraging what? Corruption. The best way is, first of all, arrest those people who are involved in the corruption cases. That is number one. Number two, prosecute them. Don't leave them, prostitute them, and again confiscate the items, the property that they have got out of the corruption. This will deter other people from engaging in corruption issues.
Okay. Do you think there are certain cases that can be avoided in terms of corruption? Because I don't think corruption can only be curbed from procurement alone. I feel people, fraud, bribery, I don't think it's only in a manner of procurement. So which other areas do you think corruption can be curbed from, apart from procurement itself?
Yeah, of course, everywhere we have corruption. But what is very important, we shouldn't look at the one who is receiving the bribe alone. We need also to look at the person who is providing also the bribe. All of them are committing a crime. So the moment we engage at two fronts, we shall in one way or the other reduce the corruption. Again, another question is about why are these people engaged in corruption cases? Maybe the issue is on remuneration, the salary. You've seen people from time to time striking over salary enhancement. Maybe the existing salary is small to cater for their needs. So they resort into getting bribes or engaging in the practices that are not legal to get something to take home. So there is a lot to do. There is a lot to do in terms of there are those that are structural, there are those that are moral, there are those ones that will require the use of the existing legal regime.
What are some of those non-state efforts would you recommend as Coast Uganda for Ugandans?
Okay, first of all, we need to acknowledge that corruption is on the rise, and as citizens, it's our duty to identify those who are corrupt and report those who are corrupt as citizens. Then the civil society organizations, we should look at lobbying for strengthening of the existing laws, the implementation of the laws to ensure that those people who are caught in engaging in corruption issues are able to be apprehended, for people to learn from them. Then that will be one way of curbing the issue of corruption.
Do you think the National Prayers Day could fight corruption?
Of course, here we are addressing the issue of ethics and morals. Of course, our society, our people have lost
the morals. Yes.
So since they have lost the morals, it's very important to bring them back to the right order. Maybe the hearts could be changed and become good citizens. Of course, whatever is taken from government, from the project, affects the delivery of public services. At the end of the day, it's the common person who suffers, because he will not be able to get the required medicine from the hospital. We've seen buildings collapse before being commissioned, And you've also seen even some projects have been commissioned without, when they're not functioning. So it's all, when we see the issues of the state calling people for national prayer, they're trying to bringing us back to the right course and do what is right. But of course, we need a combination of interventions that we can manage to curb down the issues around corruption.
Okay. It's been a great opportunity for having you on the show, and thank you too as well for watching. Stay tuned on Smart 24 for more and more. Till next time, my name is Rona Nahabwe.
All right, we continue with business today as we head to gym business. A healthy lifestyle is a factor highly recommended by medics and health fitness experts. Fitness classes done in the morning and evenings are lucrative business in many towns and peri-urban areas. Have you been to a gym yourself, and are you a routine attendant? Today we examine the state of the gym business in Uganda.
Reportedly, at least 2 out of every 10 adults in Uganda suffer from non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, largely due to lack of exercising habits. Health professionals have routinely called on the public to improve diet and adopt to fitness exercises for a healthy living. President Yoweri Museveni has loudly urged Ugandans to emulate him, saying that at his advanced age of 78, he still undertakes fitness drills.
5, 6.
We talked to Shakib Sematimba, whose living is earned from fitness lessons. He is the proprietor of Kib's Fitness Center in Chisasi.
So jano nyonyola nti oba olina buzibu bwebuti oba lower back pain oba naddala abakyala baba ba C-sectioning ekyali.
If you come to the gym, you have to be specific of what problems you have. For example, like women who have been in C-section and want their bodies in shape.
The need to exercise is growing as people realize its usefulness. This has resulted in too many mushrooming fitness and health centers.
No. Nzija lwakubanga ennyambako okulowooza obulungi cause relieving stress.
Gym helps one to release stress, so my mindset towards life changes when I work out.
Muwangzi Daniel, a nutritionist from the Nutritherapy Clinic, Mulago, believes everyone needs to do some physicals.
Program, I believe everyone should do something that makes their heart race a bit every day, that makes you to sweat every day. So if you're sitting so much, you need to at least go to the gym. Then if you're someone who works so hard, let me say you get to shift your body like this the whole day, then you need to figure out that your feet are so static. So you need to balance, you need to find a way of making your whole body active throughout the day.
He advises that if one is working a lot, they should watch their diet as well.
I think if you're working so hard and you're using a lot of energy throughout your 24 hours, you need to take in more energy. So you need to eat a bit more than a person who doesn't work a lot. And then if you're sitting too much, and if you want all the meals, you shouldn't have them because you're not using them for anything. So the extra meals get into your body and damage. There's too much energy, which could lead to, the calories burn up and then they do something else that would be disadvantageous. So it's energy output, how much you work with how much you put in. So it's a balance.
Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And there you have it. Thank you very much for being part of Business Today, the 28th of July, 2022. We've extended it to 10 p.m., I should say. Sorry for the technicalities in the initial stages, but you've been an amazing audience. Joran Paul Sonko with Winnie Nakauchi Buyenza on sign language, and we've been coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. Have a blessed night from the entire newsroom, editorial and the entire production here. It's a goodbye and a good night.